Well, um, I haven't been on video in a little while. I've been super busy with some classes and lots of sessions and whatnot, but there's a very distinct theme that's present right now, and I just wanted to share some information about it because I'm working with a lot of clients who are experiencing the same thing. And whenever it gets really loud like that, my guides are pretty insistent that I talk about it at a bigger level or with more people. So, we are in the midst of this amazing portal that opened on 12/12 that runs at least through 12/21, but kind of really into 12/24, I'm hearing. And there's a lot of light coming in and a lot of new awarenesses coming forward for us. And there may be some things that you want to change in your life that are coming to the forefront. There may be some little bits of little information that's coming in that you want to make changes around right now. So that's part of the energy. But the other thing that I'm really seeing, and it's really loud from my experience as well, is that we kind of have this systemic craving right now for connection. And I think that this is not just coming from what we've experienced for the last 2 years, where there has been a decided lack of connection, at least in a in-person format and a touch format. But I also think it's preparing us as we move into 2022, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But this systemic craving for connection that I'm witnessing is very distinct. And when I work with it in people's fields, what I'm noticing is that their heart chakras have this kind of dull ache right in the very center. And inside of the center of that dull ache is this kind of void energy that is just yearning for deep, true connection. And if you guys can relate to this, comment and let me know that that makes sense to you, so people know that they're not alone in feeling this. And as I tap into this loneliness, this is something that I see us clearing right now that needs to go. Because as we move into 2022, it's a 6 year, a 6 in numerology, and it's a big focus on community and connection. And we started to have the desire for that this year, but it's really going to come into formation more prevalently next year. And so we're kind of clearing some energy now where maybe we have a fear of connection, or we have a story around lack of connection in our life. And that's preparing us to step into the energies of next year, where we are going to be asked to come together more and to unify more. And so a lot of the energy this year was about figuring out who we are as individuals. And we've moved through that. We're almost to the end of the year. And so next year it's going to be a lot about how do we be an individual in community. Okay. And, for me personally, when I'm noticing that I'm craving this connection, it's actually very subtle. And so I wanted to give you all some idea of how you might be able to identify that you're working with this energy right now. So one of the first things that I noticed is that when I'm in this need of connection, I start scrolling on social media. And I used to think that when I was scrolling that it was because I was trying to escape feeling something, but that has actually shifted for me. It's more about wanting to be connected, wanting to know what's happening in the community, what's happening with the people that I'm connected with there on social media, and just having a craving for that interpersonal connection. And as I've studied this in myself, what I've noticed is that the hard thing about social media is that connection is so superficial. And it's so externalized, right? It's not able to fulfill the void in the heart space that I'm talking about. And so when I notice that I'm going into one of these scrolling sessions, and it's because I'm craving connection, what I'm trying to do instead is to pull back from that and take some time to be with myself. In silence, in meditation, going for a walk, doing some yoga, taking a hot bath, someplace where there's no distraction from the external, and I can work on cultivating a much deeper connection with my own internal landscape. And I actually think that that's what we need to do first, right? It's very difficult to be connected with others in authenticity and truth if we don't have an authentic and deep connection with ourselves. And so it's really important, even though there's probably a lot going on right now, and we have holiday celebrations and we have gift giving and we have all the craziness that comes in December, that you find some time to really go inward and to draw all of the parts of yourself really close. That includes the shadow parts and the inner child parts and the joyful parts, right? So that you can kind of really be in deep connection with who you are. And we have some amazing energies right now that are helping to bring clarity to maybe some of the places where there was an uncomfortability in knowing who you are this year. There's a lot of clarity coming in our next steps right now. But if we don't take the time to drop in and listen and drop into that connection and that knowing, then we won't hear those messages, right? The other thing is that it's important right now that we're doing some shadow work, but maybe not in the way that we've done it in the past. So when we're in this portal here between 12:12 and 12:21, we're actually in this time where the darkness, the shadow part of us, is being enveloped or hugged by the light parts of us. And that's indicative of, we're moving towards winter solstice where the light returns, right? We're in the darkest part of the year right now. And so what I've been doing as a personal practice when I go into those inward connection times is I start to bring the parts of me forward that maybe I've been pushing to the side. And these are the shadow parts, right? These are the parts of us that are angry or sad or feeling abandoned or rejected or feeling like they can never have the connection that they need, right? These parts of us that sometimes don't get attention, and sometimes we push to the side and go into busy instead. And so as I've been doing this practice, what I've been doing consistently is drawing these aspects of self that I normally push to the side really close in. And I imagine seeing my shadow self and literally drawing her in and giving her a hug and enveloping her with unconditional love. And I will hold that as long as I can in meditation until I start to feel a shift at my heart. And what I've been noticing is that void space, that lonely space that many of us carry. I would say that a lot of us on this planet carry that, starts to shift and it starts to soften. And even for a couple of days, I actually had pain in my sternum when I was doing this work because my physical body was holding on to the pain of this lack of connection. And so if you're feeling lonely or you're feeling like you're lacking community, I know how hard that is. I hear that every day and I feel that myself. But we have to cultivate connection with ourselves first. And then when that happens, we then begin to magnetize our soul family to us. And maybe this time of year is hard for some of you because you're not connected to your ancestral family, your blood family, and maybe you're feeling that loneliness really palpably. And so I would encourage you that this is a beautiful opportunity to work on that connection and to say no to some of the obligations that maybe you don't want to participate in right now, right? It's okay to take that inward time. One of the themes this month is what I called larger than life, which is this like almost forceful push for us to go out and celebrate and be with people. And I mentioned in my energy update at the beginning of the month that might be a challenging theme for us because there's going to be this paradox of wanting to go out and celebrate and be with people and be in connection, but also realizing that we need to cultivate this inner connection as well. So if this is present for you, I just wanted to come on and talk about it, maybe give voice to some of the things that you're feeling that you've been trying to articulate. And, before we close, let's just kind of come together for just a moment and breathe into this heart center for just a moment. And so close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths and maybe even place your hand over your heart center here. And first of all, drop into your connection with the earth. And so breathe from your heart down through the body, down into the earth beneath you. And she is a well of unconditional love for us. She is always there for us. She is stable. She is the Divine Mother. And so as we draw energy back from her, feel that unconditional love that is also coming from the Divine Mother who holds and houses us here on this planet. And as you continue to breathe and draw that light in, Perhaps even connecting from your heart up into source, drawing a line of energy from your heart up into source above your head, and receiving back unconditional love from source as well. And know that this unconditional love that you're receiving from source and earth is just a replication of what exists at the center of your heart that may be locked away in that void space. And so in this moment, as this unconditional love comes in, realize that it is not separate from you, that you are also this frequency. And imagine that alchemizing in the center of your heart, bringing forward an awareness that even the parts of you that you've been pushing aside can be loved. And for some of you, maybe you want to call on your guides or your angelic helpers or your galactic family and just, open up to receiving. There's so much beautiful light coming in right now to help us to work through these wounds. There's so many abandonment wounds and deep loneliness wounds that we're clearing right now. And the antidote to that is to draw in this love. And so it's available. Just pull it in from the ethers. See if you can open your heart. And don't get in your head. If you can't feel it in the way that I'm articulating it, it's okay. Just start with the intention of drawing this in every day. And eventually, whatever you're moving through, wherever you're stuck, will begin to shift. So I hope you all have an amazing holiday. I'm taking a couple of weeks off. I'll be back the beginning of the year. And on January 6th, I'll be doing a very special class with my friend Katie Glass, so two Katies. And we're going to be looking at the energies of 2022. She's an astrologer and a human design practitioner, and so she's going to be looking at the energies from that perspective, and I'll be bringing in some channeled information about what to expect next year, and I'll also be doing healings at the beginning and end of the class. So it's a 2-hour workshop, and so at the beginning of the class I will be doing some energetic release of 2021, so anything that you're still trying to hold on to that you might need to let go of to make space for 2022 will release that. And then at the end of the class, I'll do an anchoring of the energetics for 2022 as well. And so that's on January 6th at 6:30 p.m. And I'll put a link to that in the comments below this video. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful holiday, and I will see you next year. Love to you all.